Alright, who is ready for the podcast? I'm a little late for this podcast. Podcast. um, Gosh darn it. Um, I was planning on doing a podcast earlier before the service, but something came up and I wanted to do some testing for something that I'm not going to go into because it just goes within my personal life here and there. But yes, I'm a little bit late to the party. Whoopsie me. I'm so sorry. Whoopsies, me, right? Whoopsies me. But I decided, hey, we're gonna do a podcast before the service. The service will be starting at 7 or a bit around 7. So so it's all gonna be just one big entire stream. So if you're wondering why it's longer than usual, it's because I'm doing the podcast, before anything else. Um, and there's a few things that I wanted to go over in the podcast. Um, but the thing I also want to say is, for some of y'all that is curious of our Needy Creatures series, it's gonna be on hold just because I prioritize the sermons over those Bible studies, if that makes any sense. Because I try to make sure that I have good examples in the sermons. I try to make sure that I, do all of that um, so that I can have it all properly prepared so that y'all can come in and watch. You know, that is what I want to be able to do. So, but the Needy Creature series is going to be it's going to be on a halt. But for our podcast, since all of y'all are ready for the podcast, what am I going to be talking about? What am I going to be talking about? Well, first thing I do want to talk about is PlayStation. Now, I'm not, some of y'all may know this, I'm not a PlayStation person. Oh, I know, shocking, ain't it? I'm a Nintendo person. For some of y'all, like, can the camera focus on me a little bit more? Thank you. Uh, Thank you. Like, I'm a Nintendo person. I love Nintendo. Like the new Zelda game. I can't even wait for that game. I can't even wait for the new Zelda game. It's gonna be poggers. Who says poggers anymore? Definitely not me. Yeah, definitely not me. But yeah. So why does it say room? Y'all see that? Or unless that's just me. That was weird. Room just in the corner. That was a little bit weird. That was a bit weird. But yeah, PlayStation. Um some of y'all that may know this or may not have, if you haven't been involved with the gaming world and what's been going on in the gaming world. I don't know how long this has been. This might have already been a full year since this happened. Maybe possibility of it being a full year. I mean, I think is with the acquisition with Xbox buying, Activision, buying and all of that, which is that was a lot. If y'all remember, like 78 billion, like that was extremely a lot. Just for that, so it's extremely a lot for all that. It really is. And Sony does not like that. Sony does not like that because they want their Call of Duty on their systems. And I'm not a Call of Duty person, but as us in the gaming world, we know that Call of Duty sells well, right? Every new Call of Duty game, even though I haven't played it and touched it in years, I don't even know if I'll ever touch it. Because I'm not much of a shooter person. That's just not. It's just not me. Just just not. I don't mind trying it, but at the same time, and they want people to vote because it is a big acquisition. You got to think about it, because Xbox bought a pretty about third of what sells on the game, and like it's not just Call of Duty. Your Diablos, your Overwatch, your World of Warcraft, like all of that stuff. And we have to be able to vote saying like, is this fair? You know, and some people like the competition. And I was thinking like, why not Xbox put the Call of Duties like on PlayStation? Like maybe make it like a time exclusive, and stuff like that. I don't know. To me, like I understand, because you want your product to sell well, and you seem like you make good money because of Call of Duty. That's what sells. Like I heard that the Modern Warfare 2, the beta for that, I heard it did extremely well. Like it like really extremely like well of what it did. And I'm like over here, right? I'm over here thinking about it and going, wow, that is something. Even though I'm not a Call of Duty person, I'm not. But Sony has been sitting there saying it, and I know that we're probably going to be able to vote as well, going, hey, is this fair to the gaming world? Like, are we going to say yes to this? Are we going to say no to this? And it is a big deal. It is. I mean, do y'all remember when Xbox bought Bethesda? That was a big deal at that time. Buying the Fallout, the Dooms, all that stuff. Like they have so much under their umbrella, you know. But the PlayStation is just like I understand, but it's just, it's like I understand I'm not a Call of Duty person, nor am I a PlayStation person. You're asking me how I feel about it, and I understand because you want your console to sell well. You want people to keep on playing Call of Duty that's been on there for several years. Same with the Fallouts. You want Fallout to be able to play on the PlayStation. I mean, back on the PlayStation 3, you had Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I mean, so it's like that. So, but Sony is just really not happy with this, and I can really understand, but it's been going on for so long, and like I said, it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And not only is PlayStation is like begging to stop this acquisition with Xbox buying Activision, they're also been doing remakes. The one that I feel like I did podcast on it before was the Last of Us remake going at $70, and a lot of people were not happy about this. A lot of people were not excited about this. They felt like it was a more of a remaster than a full blown remake. I never played Last of Us. I barely know anything about the game. I mean, it looks cool. It looks okay. It looks fine. That's the moral of it. It looks fine. It looks okay. It just looks okay. It really does. It just really looks okay. That's it. It just looks okay. And they're planning on doing a Horizon Zero Dawn remake. I'm like, didn't that just came out like 5 years ago? Like why are why I'm struggling to find the words like why like who asked for this. Like I can understand for like remakes of like old games, like for example for me, let's just say for me, the Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, wonderful, marvelous, because that was from the PS1, jumping over to the new generation. Same with the Resident Evil 2 remake. It was over there and it was such an old game and then it came over. Like those are like beautiful and they haven't been done in touch in years. Medieval remake, you know, all these others, but with like PS4 and PS5 remakes, I don't understand why it needs a remake. Like I don't understand why it needs a remake. You know, I don't. Why not remake? I don't know, the Jack and Dexter games. You know, why not remake those? They haven't been touched in for so long, but you want to touch a game that was like that came out on the last generation of consoles? Like what? That's how I am. I'm like, what? Why? Why? Like, why does it deserve to be a remake? You know, usually you want a remake to sell that console. You know, when Crash Bandicoot, everybody wanted it. Resident Evil 2 remake, everybody wanted it. Well, hopefully everybody. That's, you know, these are remakes that speak that to me. You know, something that's from like long time ago and hasn't been touched and do a full blown, you know, remake of. I'm all for it. Like even if it's not a Sony exclusive, like let's say like why not remake one of the Digimon worlds? I'm just saying. Why not? You know, or why not remake the OG Need for Speed? You know, I know that's not under Sony, but that you know, well, why not something like that? Why does it have to be games that came out like the last generation? To me, that's just, it's not understandable. It's like, why do they need a remake? They're still good to play today. Why not touch on older games that haven't been remade or touched in so freaking long? You know, that's to me. That's you know that's me. You know, I know Nintendo doesn't do really remakes or anything like that, or you know stuff like that. But the Crash Bandicoot remake, you know, the Resident Evil 2 remake, you know, coming up with Resident Evil 4 remake, you know, the Spyro Reunited trilogy. You know, I'm forgetting others. There's been so many. But with this one, it's like like I can't grasp it. It's like who asked for this? And then the next thing is going to be $70, just like the Last of Us remake. How much was it? $70. $70. Horizon Zero Dawn remake. You want it? Give us $70. I don't understand. I don't I don't understand. I for real just don't even understand. Like at all. I like really don't understand. I don't. With the what is the point? And then speaking of not touching their older games, I'm hearing that the PlayStation Plus, like when you pay for you know pay for that expensive essential or whatever it is, I'm forgetting what it is at the top of my head, but they're barely adding any PS1, PS2, and from when I was looking at the list, it was PS3, and you can't really download PS3 games. You have to stream PS3 games. You know, you have to stream it. Like they're barely, and I thought that's one of the main things that they made this program for people that are nostalgia and want to play some of these old games. Why not? Like, why not give people to experience Crash Wrath of Cortex? For people that haven't experienced it yet and tried It's About Time. You know, what about that? Why not put that on your, you know, your plan? You know, speaking of PSP, the forgotten, you know, PlayStation Portable, Why not put the Birth by Sleep, you know? Or how about this? Put the Need for Speed Carbon version, the PSP version. I will die on that hill to say that's a good port. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. I love Need for Speed Carbon on the PSP. I'm not even gonna lie. The Final Fantasies on the PSP is good too. But why not that? Why not to put something like that? Or there was the Mega Man thing. It's just it's like they want to remake newer games that have nothing to do with their old games. And I'm more like, for some of y'all know, I like retro games. I love retro games. I would love to even collect retro games because that's just who I am and who I love. Like, I love sitting there and going and getting these old games and just being able to play them, saying like, nah, we can remake this. They're the same thing. Like, have y'all heard about Dead of Space remake? Speaking of another remake, here's another remake for you. Here's another remake. Dead Space. That is a bit more understandable. You know why? Because that came out on the PS3, not the PS4. That's two generations. So yeah, that's a little bit more understandable. You know, I've been asking for so long for Bethesda to, hey Bethesda, could you remake Fallout 3? Hey Bethesda, could you fully remake New Vegas? I will give you my money. I will. I will sit there and shove it in your face, be like, ooh, get my money. I'll definitely do that. Not even gonna lie. I'll be like, ooh, seriously. Seriously. But this space is a little bit more understandable. Seeing a full blown remake of it, that's a bit more understandable. Because it came out of PS3 and it could be a bit old. It's I don't remember what year Dead Space came out. I never played Dead Space, so but at the same time, I don't see anything bad with that. I really don't see anything bad with, like, if you were making games for like the PS3 era. I don't see anything bad with that. You know, I seen people that wants a remake of Bloodborne. Like, people saying like, oh, they're remaking every other game, but they don't want to remake Bloodborne. And I'm over here going, yeah. Um, I mean, Bloodborne. I can understand that they don't remake Bloodborne because that was a little bit newer. Because for me, for it to be a full blown remake, there has to be a very, you know, well established franchise. That's one. And basically, it's rebooting the franchise back up. With Resident Evil, when 6 came out, not a lot of people like 6. So they went back to the roots in 7 and then start remaking games, saying, like, hey, this is what Resident Evil used to be. This is what ever Resident Evil, done. And to me, that's what I seem like to remakes. This is what started it. Like Crash Bandicoot. I remember being so hyped seeing that trailer. So I can understand this. And not only their PlayStation fan base has also been getting mad, infuriated that their games are coming to PC. And I'm like, why? Like, why not put some games on PC? Like, why not? Like, it gives people to be able to try these games and maybe want the PlayStation 5. I may never get a PlayStation 5. That's just me. I'm not a PlayStation person. I mean, there's some nice PlayStation exclusives and all, and that's cool. That's dandy. But to me, I'm like, alrighty. When Spider-Man came out on Steam, and I used to play Spider-Man 2. I used to play Spider-Man 3, the Spider-Man on the PS1 version. I remember really loving those. But at the same time, I barely have any any interest of going back, and I haven't been playing those games. I've been playing like, I want to be able to get back and play some other games, and not just Phasmophobia a lot. But that's just the way I see it. And with the exclusives coming to PC, I mean, that shouldn't be that bad. For people that can only afford the PC, and just give them like a little taste, saying like, "Hey, these are games that you can truly experience on our PlayStation 5." These are games that you can truly experience. And I wish Nintendo could do something like that. Saying like, "Hey, we're just going to give you a little taste, and this is what we have on our system." You know, to give people a little taste and be like, "Okay, that looks interesting. All right, I guess I can bite. Let me bite on that. Alrighty, you know. But yeah. To me, I think it's just, I think PlayStation needs to stop. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and get mad going, "Oh my gosh, they put Breath of the Wild on PC." I'll be like, "That's good. People can experience it. Like, people can experience. That's the way I see it." Like, why should I get why? Like, it's like, why should I get so hurt about this? Like that comes into the thing. It's like, why should I be hurt over this? You know, because I'm not. I'm not. But that's just what I see. There was just a lot of PlayStation stuff than the Nintendo stuff right now, because they just released a Mario movie. If y'all want to see my reaction and thoughts, watch the last podcast. But this mainly just focus on PlayStation, because it's more about PlayStation this week. For the Switch, the only thing that I can think of is like, of what I talked about, of an updated Pro or a Switch 2, thinking that they're going to release it below Tears of the Kingdom. Because you have Mario movie that comes out, I think, around that time, actually. Oh, and don't forget the Super Nintendo World that comes out around that time. That's interesting. Conspiracy theory. It could be. But 2023 could be big for Nintendo. We'll just say, if they're gonna have like another, system or update, because I will definitely get it. If it's a much better and smoother, Switch, because they need better hardware under it, and that's why some people prefer the Steam Deck over the Switch. Why did it just do that? I didn't drag it. Okay, mouse. Okay, okay. But that is pretty much it for the podcast. If y'all have any topics that y'all would like to submit, you can always submit your topics. Or if you would like to be part of these podcasts, and maybe it's just not my opinion, and maybe you have your own opinion of however you're feeling, I would love to know. How do you feel about the PlayStation doing all of this? How do you feel about Horizon Zero Dawn remake? Dead Space remake. How do you feel about the PlayStation Plus subscription if you're paying for it? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about at Microsoft buying, Activision slash Blizzard, and Sony is begging for Call of Duty to be on their platform? I would love to be able to hear y'all's thoughts. Because nothing's going on in the Nintendo world. Nothing that interesting, except all that. So, except for that Mario movie. So this is basically focused on PlayStation, because a lot's been happening within the PlayStation era. So yeah, so we're gonna switch gears and go straight into our service. Yes, service. I have been doing service every Friday night, and I wanted to do the podcast a bit before that, because the podcast, I would assume, is short. and I literally ended like almost at 7 o'clock. So because there's like when I get much to talk about, I get much to talk about. If not, then not. You know. And these podcasts, I kind of want to keep them a little short, unless I'm reacting to like a big presentation. Like I'm definitely gonna be reacting to the Game Awards whenever that is gonna be. I'm definitely reacting to that. 100%, I am reacting to the Game Awards. Um, Game of the Year attendant, Tunic. No, actually, Crystal Project. Crystal Project should be Game of the Year, but it's definitely gonna be under the radar because no one barely hears about it. No one has heard about Crystal Project. I mean, even though it's a great RPG and it went under the radar. Hey, Beta Girl. But yeah, we're gonna switch gears and go into our service, go into our worship time and announcement. So here we go. Worship. But I do hope that y'all enjoy the podcast.